This is Dr. Andrew Jones. In this edition of Veterinary Secrets, I'm going to be discussing a specific supplement called Rutin and how it can help you and your pets. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, welcome. Today's video is a little bit different. I actually have a specific medical condition. I was researching some of the alternative options. I recently went to my physician who was discussing some type of surgical procedure. And in terms of researching this option, I found a whole bunch of really impressive things this specific supplement can do to help not only us, but also our dogs and cats. You guys, so this supplement is called Rutin. And it's called a bioflavonoid, so it's one of the super positive therapeutic nutrients that are found in things such as this, the apple peel, found in black tea, for instance, found in buckwheat. It's also found in the peel of citrus fruits. So Rutin helps the body utilize vitamin C. It provides a source of collagen. It's part of the body's main building blocks. But in particular, I'm aware of it because we have used it in veterinary practice for a very difficult to treat veterinary medical condition called chylothorax, which we're going to get into shortly. But specifically, the thought that how it works for this veterinary condition, chylothorax, and how it's also potentially beneficial for people, is it helps to normalize and stabilize our teeny little blood vessels. They're called capillaries. You guys, so I have this unsightly condition. You can kind of equate it to older people, called the varicose veins. I don't know if you can see it there. Don't look too close. Doesn't look so great. Regardless, but what's happening is that in this condition, the blood, as it returns from the body, so it's pumped out from your arteries, goes to all the tissues, provides the oxygen. Then the venous return, the veins are supposed to take that unoxygenated blood, take it back to the heart to get it pumped back up to the lungs again. But in the process, it requires valves because the veins are very passive. So you can get a defect in the valves called this one big vein to the inside of the leg called the saphenous vein. The valves aren't working as properly, they're collapsing, so this blood just pools, which is what's happening now. And that's why you see this big, torturous looking, unsightly leg. It's enough of my leg, I think. So in terms of researching the options to treat my specific condition, the one specific supplement I came up with was Rutin. And it's one which I've used in veterinary practice, so I'm familiar with it. And we used it for a number of cats, really hard to treat cases, and they responded. So it's thought that it helps to strengthen and normalize those little teeny blood vessels, give them back their normal structure again, so they can start moving that blood normally again. So I'm going to start myself on Rutin. I just researched it this morning. I went to my little co-op. I picked up some Rutin. And so most pharmacies are going to have it. Definitely any natural health food store is going to have it. These are 250 milligram capsules. And they're looking at a human dose of 500 milligrams twice a day. So I'm just going to pop it out. You guys have a look at it. There it is. It kind of almost looks like this apple-y looking greenish capsule. So there's my 2 tablets, 500 milligrams. I'm going to take 2 of those twice a day. I'm going to do that for a good 4 weeks and assess, is it actually helping me? Am I responding? Because I think that's a reasonable period of time to see if it's going to be beneficial or not. First condition I want to discuss the beneficial uses of Rutin in animals is there's this condition called chylothorax. And what that means, and I'll show you right after this segment, I'll bring up a couple x-rays. What that means is a type of white milky fluid called chyle, which is produced from the lymph system. And the lymph system is related to the blood system. So it's a network of vessels throughout your body or pets' bodies. And it sort of drains the fluid in between the cells, called intracellular. So there can be inflammatory processes. There's this extra fluid. Think about the cells and in between the cells of your skin, for instance. There's still some fluid there. You've got your lymphatic system, which is working, which is draining that extra fluid, bringing it into the body, recirculating it, keeping some of it as needed. And the additional fluid, it's going to be passed out right via urine. In chylothorax, what can happen is that a big part of the lymph system, it's absorbing some of that fat, etc., in the intestinal tract. And there's a big duct called the thoracic duct, which goes right into the chest or into the chest cavity. And for whatever reason, either too much of that fluid is being produced or it's not adequately draining properly, it can build up in the chest. So the biggest clinical sign I would generally have seen in practice, more often it's in cats. I see this cat coming in, he's got respiratory distress. You know, he's breathing heavy, he's these big, deep labored breaths. And as you've just seen there on the x-rays, you can imagine why. The entire chest cavity is filled with this fluid. The diagnosis is, after we've done the x-ray, we'd stick a needle in, do a little tap of that chest, pull out this white, clear substance, and that's essentially diagnostic. You can spin it down, look it under a microscope, slide, but essentially it's diagnostic of, you know, this dog, it can happen in dogs too, or cat, has chylothorax. The dose for Rutin in our animals is much different. So if we're treating a dog or cat with chylothorax, we're looking at 50 milligrams per kilo daily in divided doses. So for instance, something like just a little 10-pound dog, a 5-kilo dog, would be getting 250 milligrams, which is one of these capsules daily in divided doses. So half in the morning, half in the evening. And in researching it, I found 10 different potential therapeutic uses that you could be thinking about having Rutin used in your dogs or cats. So I'm just going to discuss some of those pretty quickly, and they're just big things to keep in mind, and it's just knowing that there's so many alternative options out there that we're not exploring or investigating. First of all, there's a condition called cholesterol plaques, and what that means is your dog, for instance, can have very elevated high cholesterol in their body. They don't have the same things such as atherosclerosis that we get, that type of cardiovascular disease, but it can harm them. And one of the initial signs can be they can get these white plaques right on the surface of their cornea of their eye. It can even partly affect their vision, as you can imagine. And they're called these white cholesterol plaques. High blood pressure or hypertension, we're increasingly diagnosing it in dogs. Seems to be more common in our cats. Regardless, you're looking at some pretty strong conventional medications. It's been shown that Rutin can be effective for hypertension. There's a condition called vestibular disease, where you can get all of a sudden this acute sudden onset where your dog is sort of staggering to one side. He's got a bit of a head tilt. His eyes may be flickering from side to side. Something like Lewis. You know, you'd see his head would be tilted to one side. Rutin has been studied for use in Meniere's disease, which is something like that. You can get this dizziness, vertigo type signs, and they're actually using Rutin and finding that people are responding. So it's an option. Because we know it's helping the capillaries, the vascular system, there are certain vascular diseases in our pets. There's one type of vasculitis where it means inflammation of the small little blood vessels. Then it can affect your dog's ear tips. And you can actually see this red inflammation, big areas of hair loss. I've had clients ask, what else can I do? Can I give anything? Here's an option. You could actually do a trial course of Rutin. Rutin is a pretty powerful antioxidant. So in terms of the diseases that benefit from antioxidants, you know, I'm thinking things like allergies, cancer. There's another option. Anytime we want to stimulate your pet's immune system, because we know that Rutin is increasing macrophage activity, that type of white blood cell that eats up bad things. Rutin's another option, you know, as an immune stimulant. And the last three things I want to discuss are ones which actually had specific studies backing them. First of all, there was a study showing that Rutin itself, in experimental animal models, was actually inhibiting clot formation. So think about all these people in the world that are on, you know, different types of blood thinners for clot prevention. It actually inhibited a type of enzyme which allows clots to form. In particular with our animals, I'm really thinking about these cats that can get acute thromboemboli, really difficult to treat. We know they've likely got an underlying heart condition. We're sort of stuck. Do we give them, you know, an aspirin every third day? Rutin is another huge option, which I definitely would be thinking about in practice. Next, we know that there's beneficial effects of Rutin for fatty liver. This condition, once again, it's a big problem in people, a huge problem in our cat populations, especially our moderate to overweight cats. They go a couple days without eating, all this fat can infiltrate their liver. So if you've got a cat that's prone to that, Rutin has been shown specifically to prevent fat accumulation in the liver. Another huge benefit. And then the last study that I read was on diabetes. So they actually used it, this was a study in rats, showing that these rats fed rutin had far lower blood glucose levels, essentially making them less likely to be diabetic and helping regulate their diabetes in the first place. Another potential huge benefit. So in total, that's 10 different things that rutin could be beneficial for your dogs and your cats. Thank you for watching this edition of Veterinary Secrets on Rutin. If you've yet to do so, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel. You can do that by clicking that little circle in that box over there. I think I'm pointing in the right spot. Then after that, you can go ahead, click that link in the box below, and I can send you my free books and videos on how to heal your pets at home with my top natural remedies.